Superintendent Burton Dean was the type of man who loved to garden, play cricket, and write the rules and regulations for the Northwest Mounted Police. In 1906, Dean built a two-story home for his wife Martha. Tragically, she passed away before having a chance to move into the home. Since the days of Superintendent Dean, many have walked the halls of the old home. It's been said, some have never left.
Dean House was originally built at the corner of 9th Avenue and 6th Street, southeast. It was built by Captain Dean, who was the last serving superintendent of Fort Calgary, and which is on the other side of the river. And the superintendent's quarters up until then weren't suitable for Captain Dean, and I think it was his wife primarily. So he built this house, and he had beautiful gardens around it.
And then in 1929, the house was bought by C.L. Jacques, who moved the house across the river to its current location. Lots of stories surrounding it, only one that we were ever able to fully verify, which was a 1971 murder-suicide that happened when it was a boarding house.
I think the reason that people believe that there may be ghosts here is that when the railway sold it and to a private owner and it was moved across the river, it was used as a boarding house. And there was a murder-suicide in the boarding house. So I think maybe the legend of the Dean House came out of that murder-suicide.
Things that we experienced there, there's a door to a closet in the attic. It had been reported closing by itself, things being thrown out of it, etc. My personal experience with that closet is, I believe it was during our first investigation. I went into the closet, and at the very far end, there's a little trap door so that you can get into underneath the eaves for duct work and stuff. And I stuck my head through there, and I was physically slapped across the face, like, what are you doing looking through here? I backed out, and I was shocked because I wasn't expecting that.
I think with every old house, there's a spirit of the place. With the Dean House, we know quite a bit about Captain Dean and how the house was used after that. So I think when you enter a house, there is a feeling that there is a past, obviously, and you are just in the moment of that history. Whether there are ghosts here, I mean, I don't know. As I say, with any old house, you're going to find lots of myths and legends and truths as well.
Finally, we take a look at two more mysterious locations in Calgary. First off, the Hose and Hound pub, where staff has experienced numerous unexplained phenomena that they attribute to a crafty little critter. Then take a journey inside the ranch at Fish Creek Provincial Park, where people say one former resident refuses to cross over to the other side.
This is the original Fire Hall number 3, and it was built in 1907 and was used as a fire hall until 1952. It was decommissioned when the fire trucks got too big to fit through the doors. The upstairs was where the firemen stayed. They had cooking facilities and beds and living quarters. The downstairs was where the horses and the wagons were kept, and then eventually, of course, the fire trucks. The original fire chief of Calgary was a man named Cappy Smart. Now, Cappy had a thing for collecting wild animals. Here at Fire Hall number 3, he seemed to have, over the years, monkeys. And one of them was named Jocko. There was another monkey whose name was Barney, and he had a bad temper. One day, when the firemen were off fighting a fire, they left Barney tied up to the flagpole out front. A family came along, and the son of the family offered Barney a treat. Barney attacked him. Of course, when the firemen came back, they decided that Barney was too dangerous to have around, so they put him down. And his remains were buried in the front of the building. Ever since then, strange things happen here.
I was skeptical about the whole monkey thing at first, when I first started here, till probably about 4 years into it. We were working a Christmas function. I came in early to get some things ready, and was walking through the kitchen, and we have deck ovens. They're spring-loaded, of course, and you can't open them without them automatically closing on you. Well, I was walking by the ovens, and the door popped open 3 times. After that, it was a little, you know, you give a little more respect. You know, you start paying attention to stuff that's happening around you. And
we have a dishwasher in the back that you have to close in order for it to work. And one particular morning we came in, it was about 7 o'clock in the morning, and the dishwasher just started spraying everywhere. It hadn't closed. We couldn't explain it. Just water everywhere, and we had a service call out for the dishwasher, and the guy came in and said everything was normal.
things that come flying off shelves that, you know, were positioned further back kind of thing, and not just tumbling off, but actually flying off the shelves. You can hear the pool balls moving in the pool tables. You can hear things scraping along the floors once in a while.
I'm convinced that there is some kind of a spiritual aspect that we don't understand. I'm not going to claim that it's really a monkey. I'm not going to claim that there's really ghosts, but there's something. I mean, I've seen things happen that I can't explain.
Roper Hall came here, and he bought this land in the late 1800s. And then he started a cattle ranch here and did ranching, and he built this house in 1896. And when the house was built, it was considered probably one of the best architecture types of houses in Western Canada. As you go through the building here, it's almost the same as it was in 1896, the old part of the house. It was used for massive parties. Every time Roper Hall, who wasn't married at the time, had a party, all the young unmarried women would definitely show up in horse and buggy. But in 1903, he decided to sell it to Pat Burns. And Pat Burns didn't really live out here. His wife thought it was too far outside Calgary to live. He would come out and have a few parties and treat it as a weekend retreat. The other thing that's very unique to this place, the road in front of the house here, is actually the old Minapore Trail. That was the road into the park where the pathway is now.
Well, Charlie that I know of has been a chef that was here for both William Roper Hull and Senator Patrick Burns, and he was always in the back frame of the cooking here, so he cooked for the ranch hands and just for those particular families in general.
Many people have claimed to see and hear things they can't explain within the valley of Fish Creek Provincial Park and the old homestead.
I really feel it's Charlie's presence in here, but a lot of people have seen other things and other presences in the building and you know, through the whole valley here. There's also the story of the keys. When we were building, we wanted to show the building to a certain group, and we all went and tried our keys, and there was 6 of us all had keys, and we all tried the keys, and none of the keys would open the doors. And next morning, all the keys worked again. So I really believe the building's haunted.
So I've gone up to, certainly upstairs to the blue room, turned off lights, made sure everything is the way it should be as you're leaving. And I'm heading out to my car, so I'm outside the building, and I look back and see that there's a light left on, and it's usually the one upstairs in the blue room. And I know for sure I've turned those lights off, but I just don't come back. I just go on and get into the car and head home. There was another particular instance when I was actually a server at the time, and I was looking after this family upstairs in the blue room. And at the end of the evening, they were done completely. I locked up the room again, turned off the lights, and I pulled the cable cord for the stereo out of the wall. So I was heading down the stairs, and then the music came back on. And I said, that's funny, because I know I turned it off. So I went back up into the room, looked behind the door where the cable was connected to the wall, and it was pulled out. And I went over to the stereo and lifted it up, and it's still playing. And I went to the back compartment, opened it up, and there's no batteries in it. So I says, okay, I get the message, and I left the room.
Really feel personally, I've been here a long time at Fish Creek, that the whole valley is kind of spiritual. I really believe there's some type of presence here.
Thank you for joining us in our quest to uncover some of Calgary's most peculiar places. By unlocking the history behind some of these sites, we hope to have a better understanding of the phenomenon that occurs there. But sometimes delving into the past only creates more mystery.